So this just popped up on YouTube chat over on one of my videos, and I wanted to take a moment to actually break this out into a conversation point. Hang on, let me timestamp this. So the the comment is on the video about romances that we dropped last night. This is at 2:35. And it's a follow-up to that romance conversation. And I'm actually gonna. This one will probably be called relationships. Actually, I think we'll call this "Not All Relationships Have to Be Romances." To be romances. See, not all have to be romances. So this is a brilliant topic of conversation. So one of the controversies around this game that I've seen some content creators trying to feed off of is that Obsidian didn't put any romances into the game, and they talked about it like as far back as a couple of years ago. They were talking about how they didn't have romances in this game. It wasn't going to be a major focus of what they were trying to build. And you've had some people that have gotten very upset about the fact that there's not any romances. There's no romance options in this game, therefore, you know, lazy writers, Obsidian's being lazy for not doing it. Um, this feedback, this is a great comment. So this is from iHaze, I believe it's iHaze or LHaze 117 over on YouTube. It says, I've always found romance options to be such a minor consideration for me in RPGs. I prefer bromances over romances when it comes to RPGs personally, such as the bond between Garrus and Shepard and Mass Effect, and how that eclipsed any potential romance options in that series. And I think this is a great segue into, the other video was talking about romance options. Why I don't I'm not. It doesn't bother me if it's not in the game. It doesn't bother me if there are no romances in the game, because I often find that the romances are not done very well. Like we were talking about in the other video, how many of the romances feel like just sort of like they're just there. Like you do a bunch of fetch quests, you get a little side boob and a little bit of, anime ass, and a quick little 15-minute cutscene with some as the characters do what they're going to do with each other after you've done 20 side quests or so. And how not all games, some games like Baldur's Gate 3 do have these massive RPG relationship romance options that are very well done, but a lot of them are not very well done. But this leads back to, why is it, and this is a very interesting topic to me, why is it that so many people seem to be focused on the romances as opposed to just the bromances? And not even just bromances, it could be, just think about it this way. Relationships in video games don't always have to be romantic or sexual in nature. Think about how many good relationships we've had in video games where the storylines have been super cool, and yet it's not sexual at all. It's not romantical. Romantical? It's not romantic. Romantical. It's not romantic at all. Like the Garrus and Shepard is a really good example, but I was even thinking about like Frodo and Sam. Like Frodo and Sam have a very platonic relationship. I mean, if you listen to, like, I think some of Tolkien's letters talk about, it was like the relationship between the first officer and his servant during the war, which is when he was writing a lot of The Hobbit, and his experiences from that war and coming back, and that platonic friendship, that deep connection that two people could have for each other, independent of and irregardless of, or just regardless of, irregardless of, any sort of attractions they might have, because there might not be any attraction at all. It might be that Shepard and Garrus, Frodo and Sam relationship. And how many games have we gotten really good bromances in? I'm using bromance generically here because it could be a female-female relationship. It could be a male and female relationship. But the bromance title fits well to represent, a relationship where it has nothing to do with romance or sex, but it's just two characters having a really deep bond and a deep connection. Why can't we have that in games and people be satisfied with that? Why does it always have to be romantic and or sexual for people to be satisfied with the relationship options? Like, I'm totally fine with this game not having romance options and just giving me cool characters that I can have relationships with. Now, I think during yesterday's video, we were talking about how it is cool when a game has like an affinity system, and then like your earning ranks up with your character through conversation options, and then the higher ranks allow you to get like better abilities. I think it's the Mass Effect and Dragon Age series do that, where you have like a loyalty rank that you can access. If you've pursued the relationships with a character to a certain point, you can unlock loyalty level affinity. And once you've unlocked that loyalty level of affinity, you have access to these special abilities that the NPCs can do. And those are relationships that are completely platonic. Although you can have romances in those games, you also have a big party, you know, 6, 8 people, and you can go through and have friendships that are very strong and powerful with all of those people without any of them, or you know, you don't even necessarily have to have a romantic relationship with any of those characters. You could be platonic all the way through and still reach that loyalty level of friendship to get all the cool perks. I think that's a very interesting comment on that YouTube video that bears further thought. So yeah, let me know in the comments below, guys. We're gonna clip this out for YouTube. People can have a greater conversation about this as we go on, because I think that that's a fascinating thing. Not all relationships have to be romantic in nature for them to be fulfilling in a video game.